game. We rise and unite, fueling the passion, igniting the light. Through highs and lows, we'll stand as one. A legacy, a tale that's just begun. Together we roar, together we grow. Detroit Lions will rise, with a heart full of dreams and the fire in our eyes. From the past to the future, we'll claim our road. In the home of the brave, we'll proudly have grown. So let's lift our voices, let's turn it up loud. For the love of the Lions, we'll always be proud.
All right. Good morning. Welcome to the Rise and Grind Morning Show. It is Victory Monday. You Detroit Lions got it done. The sky is put back together. It is no longer fallen. I'm joined by Eric Rintamaki this morning. Eric, how was your Sunday watching these Lions win?
Oh, man, what a fantastic Sunday. I had a blast. Went to my buddies. We ended up going to another buddy's house. My other buddy, Rafe, we went to his house because his pipes froze. So I brought my salamander over. We let the salamander do its job. And halfway through the first quarter, his water started running. So it was awesome.
What the hell is a salamander?
It's a propane heater that blows out air really, really loud and really fast. 125,000 BTUs. Can heat up under a trailer or a garage or something really fast.
Nice. Well, nice of you to help out.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome in, everybody. We've got quite a bit to get to this morning, and we're going to get rock and rolling right away. Man, it was an excellent victory for these Lions because now they've continued to put themselves in the driver's seat. I don't think that they ever left the driver's seat. They've always had their own path to their own destiny. And you kind of heard that yesterday from some of the guys in the media availability where they were talking about, yeah, it was great, to see the Eagles go down, but they don't care. It's wonderful they're getting a little bit of help. I think one of the players said, we've been dealing with a lot of injuries. Yeah, it's nice to have a little bit of help, but that's not their plan. Their plan is to win and win out. That's their goal. The Lions aren't going to lay down. They want to do this on their own terms. They don't care if they get help from another team, but they did. So the Washington Commanders, we flipped over to that game yesterday after the live stream for the Lions game and finished watching that game out. Man, I never counted out the Commanders in that game. The whole time I thought that they could get it done. I've seen what Jaden Daniels has done this season. I was not surprised one bit with what he was able to pull off. I was a little bit worried, though, when I want to say it was, second and goal or something like that. Maybe it was 2nd and 6, and they ran the ball. And they didn't have any timeouts left. And they had to get up and, clock spike it. And the next play, they scored the touchdown. I was a little concerned, like, what are they doing running the ball? I mean, that was like a Dan Campbell kind of move. Like, it's a passing down, and they ran the ball. So, very interesting way that they got it done, but they got it done, and they helped out the Detroit Lions. If you guys remember last week, that was one of my calls from last week that I thought that the Eagles would lose to the Washington Commanders. Now, Jalen Hurts took a concussion. He left the game early, not after scoring, 21 points it was in the first quarter or something like that. Without Hurts in the game, they got it done. Had Hurts been in the game, I don't think they get it done.
Well, Kenny Pickett also got hurt. His ribs they're looking at now. They're back up in Philly.
I expect Hurts to be back this week. Yeah, concussion these days, unless it's, extremely severe. I mean, all concussions are severe, but how they grade them, whether it's minor or whatever.
It must have been a pretty good hit because they took him to the blue tent and then they took him right out. I mean, they took him right back to the locker room.
I never saw the hit.
Yeah, I didn't either. But they said that they took him right from the blue tent straight to the locker room. He didn't even get to go back on the sidelines or anything.
So I think where I want to start this morning, of course, we'll have NFL news, Lions news and rumors. Of course, it's Monday, so we're going to be talking a little bit about what happened yesterday. But playoff seeding, I think, has been the most important question that I've been getting this morning and yesterday. I got a flood of emails. Everyone was like, what's happening with the playoffs? Where are we at in the seeding? what's happening. So I figured we'll break that down this morning. And again, I appreciate all of the mailbag questions that came in yesterday. Playoff predictor. It's available through ESPN. So you can do exactly what I do. If you want to play with it, just type in playoff machine or playoff predictor and go into ESPN, and you've got this fun little machine that, we usually throw up on the screen, but I'm not going to throw it up on the screen this morning. At the end of the day, here's the simplest path. And it's what I was just talking about. It's the Lions path. It's win and you're in, right? And what I mean by that is they're the 1 seed. If the Lions win out, they're the 1 seed. It doesn't matter what the Eagles do. It doesn't matter what the Vikings do. It doesn't matter what the Packers do. Win and you're the 1 seed. And then you get an extra week off before you go to the divisional round. The best path, though, playing with it last night and a little bit this morning, the best path, in my opinion, is this. And this is considering, who the Lions would then take on. The Lions win versus San Francisco in week 18. It wouldn't matter as long as the Packers lose tonight versus the Saints, which is unlikely to happen. Mm-hmm. And if the Packers win next week versus the Vikings, and the Packers can win or lose week 18 versus the Bears, they end up the 7 seed, the Packers. The Eagles win at least one of their next 2 games, or both the next 2 games, doesn't matter. They'll be the number 2 seed. The Lions will end up the 1 seed with essentially 2 weeks off before the first playoff to get healthy. The Packers take out the Eagles in the first round is what I see. So if all of that scenario just happened, and given the fact if LA wins and Tampa wins and Washington wins, it would be Lions at the 1 seed, the Eagles taking on the Packers in the first wild card game. It would be the Rams and the Commanders in the second wild card game. And it would be the Bucks and the Vikings in the third wild card game, not in any specific order. And honestly, I think the Packers could take out the Eagles. And I think Washington would probably take out LA. And I think Tampa would probably take out the Vikings. And so then the table is set. It's going to be Tampa, Washington, and the Lions, and the Packers going at it in that divisional round. That's what I see happening right now. But I think that is the best path for the Lions if we're talking matchups. But at the very least, why next week is very important. It's kind of the path of least resistance. So let's say that the Vikings lose to the Packers next week. Well, in that scenario, the Lions would go into Monday night's game knowing that a win over the 49ers would lock up the number 1 seed in the NFC. And here's why. If the Vikings lose to the Packers and the Lions beat the 49ers, the Lions will be 14-2. The Vikings will be 13-3. And then even if the Vikings beat the Lions in week 18, the 2 teams would finish with the same record. But the Lions head-to-head would be split with the Vikings, and the tiebreaker would move to division record where the Lions would be 5-1 and the Vikings would be 4-2. So even then, though, the Eagles, if they won their final 2 games and the Lions lost to the Vikings in week 18, the 2 teams would finish tied at 14-3, and the Lions would win the tiebreaker, as we've already established. So if the Vikings lose to the Packers on Sunday, then the Monday night game against the 49ers is incredibly important for the Lions because it would give them a chance to lock up the 1 seed, as I already stated. So that means that the week 18 game wouldn't matter. And that's kind of what I've expected this season. I thought 14-3 would do it. And I thought the week 18 would matter. That was my early call in the preseason. I thought that's where the Lions needed to be, and they still have a chance to do it. That would obviously give us a bye, which we need right now due to all the injuries that we've had. That would give us an extra week to get healthy. Actually, an extra 2 weeks, because maybe Dan, would he sub in, enough of the second and third team guys? Probably. I'm hoping. It's not Dan's style, but I'm hoping. And I know what they say. You take an extra week off, guys get rusty. I don't think that's going to happen. We just gave guys a bunch of, time off, and they were not rusty at all. What just happened with the screen?
I don't know. Went to Dan Campbell interview.
Uh-oh.
17th.
Let me fix that real quick.
Yeah. I don't know what that was all about.
So anyway, with all that, what's your thought process here? I mean, what has been on your mind since last night after all this stuff went down. Oh, I see why. There's an extra scene in here that's not supposed to be in here.
Oh, okay. Well, this is the part of the show where everyone who is a Lions fan is going to hate me.
Because you don't want the Packers to win.
I will not root for the Packers to win next Sunday.
You almost have to, buddy. This is how it works, man.
I cannot do it. I will not do it. I will not make a deal with the devil.
You're not making a deal with the devil. Come on now. This is football, buddy.
No.
Packers are going to win next week. They have to. That's the best way for the Lions to get into the postseason as the 1 seed. You would be foolish not to root for the Packers in any which way, shape, or form, no matter how deep your hatred is.
Like I told you,
You would be foolish.
This is the part where everyone is going to hate me because I will not root for the Packers to win next week. But the nice thing about it is we don't play until Monday. They play on Sunday. So no matter what happens on Sunday, we will know going into Monday night's game whether it's for all the marbles or not. And whether it is or whether it isn't, I think we're going to play just as hard to win that game because this is our revenge game. San Francisco is our revenge game. Right now, our odds to win the number 1 seed are minus 310. We have amazing odds to win the number 1 seed. And I had something here.
Well, the odds right now that I'm seeing, according to DraftKings, are the Lions are plus 190 to win the NFC Championship. They're plus 400 tied with the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl.
Yep. Yeah. So what I had for Super Bowl odds was, let me see here. So newest on Super Bowl odds as of last night on DraftKings, the Detroit Lions were plus 370 and back in first place. Kansas City Chiefs were plus 390. Buffalo Bills plus 500 and the Philadelphia Eagles at plus 650. The Ravens at plus 750 and the Minnesota Vikings at 1,100. So more than a 3-1 favorite the Lions are compared to the Minnesota Vikings to win the Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I guess you don't have to say that you don't want to root for the Packers. I mean, I guess what you could say is, I just want the Lions to win out.
I'd love that.
I mean, that's the easiest path, right? But that doesn't give the Lions an extra opportunity to rest some guys in Week 18, which I think that is more important right now. I think if you really want to take a run at the Super Bowl, you need the Packers to win. And you need the Lions to win in Week 17 so that we can take a week off as much as they can.
I'll root for a tie. It'll do the same thing.
Yeah, it would. Essentially, it would. It would. Yeah. It absolutely would.
I cannot do it. Can't do it. So last year, it's the wild card round.
I assume that when a Packer fan buys rocks, you return their money, right?
I do.
Yeah.
I tell them their order is no good.
Just want to make sure you're consistent here, Eric.
Yes, and when I have a Packer fan go on a tour with me, I tell them this is a one-way ticket, and you don't get a ride back from the beach, and it's 18 miles through the wilderness.
Swim back to Green Bay.
Yes, so enjoy your ride because you're not getting one back.
I wonder how many bodies are in the woods.
Hey, I can't claim to have never lost anyone. Jesus. And you made me forget where I was going.
Hey, it happens. I had it last week, man. I had a complete brain fart in mid-sentence. I'm like, what was I just talking about? It's probably a lie, as my grandfather would say. You forgot because it was probably a lie.
Yeah. And, I get it. Everybody wants us to have it locked up next week. I do too. But do you think in your wildest dreams that Dan Campbell is going to start Hendon Hooker if there's a chance that we're going to have the same record as the Vikings at 14-3?
Yeah, because it doesn't matter.
Lose that game.
It wouldn't matter.
No, he's not. There's no way. He doesn't have in his DNA to lose a game, to let a game just be lost.
I don't think he has in his DNA to lose a game, but I mean, it could be a situation where you've got to be smart here. Do
you really want Goff on the shelf for 2 weeks?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to matter for Goff.
I don't.
Yeah. I don't think it would matter for Goff. I don't think it would matter for any of these guys. I think if anything, the guys had a couple of extra days off last week. A lot of the offensive line did, and look how much better they played. They needed some rest. These guys have been going so hard all season, and they needed some rest, man. They've had, in my opinion, the gauntlet of probably, and I don't care what metrics or analytics say it's the hardest schedule based on win-loss records. I don't care about that part. I care about the players that these guys have gone up against. And when you look at the defensive lines that the Lions have gone up against week in and week out, our offensive line has been tested the most of any other team in the NFL. They have gotten their asses kicked by some of the best defensive linemen. And man, have they stood up in most of these games. Yeah, they had a few bad games, maybe a couple of bad quarters, but you can see that they're tired, man. You can just tell that they just need a breather. And this has been a very long season for them because coming off of a loss in San Francisco last year,
yeah,
I almost feel like they probably got started a little early. You know what I mean? Like,
I also think that week 5 bye screwed us over.
Yeah.
We just, you have that break 1 month into the season. Oh, great. Right when you don't need it.
Yeah,
I've week 11 bye, not week 5.
I've beaten that topic to death, but next year I'm really going to harp on the NFL if they screw us again, because one, there should be 2 byes in the NFL.
Yeah.
I think that you should have an AFC off 1 week, and an NFC off the next week. As much as possible, do your interdivisional game or conference games, right? And then have another one where, the guys, the teams that are playing, the Christmas games, or the, teams that are playing the Thanksgiving games, or there has to be another bye in there somewhere.
Yeah. Any team playing on a Thursday game should have a bye before that game.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Christian Mahogany, so Michael Bodo says Christian Mahogany looked darn good yesterday. So Eric, you had a topic about Christian Mahogany. Let's just jump into it real quick.
Yeah, so Christian Mahogany yesterday replaced Graham Glasgow at left guard. He played all 65 plays on offense. He let up 2 pressures. Two pressures on the entire day. And he's a 6th round rookie. And he came from Boston College, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Boston College.
I'm telling you, this kid came in and played his butt off, played all 65 snaps on offense, and he looked fantastic. If you watch him in run blocking, he was just powering off the ball, pushing his dude into the away from the backfield, away from Jared Goff. And pass blocking, he did a fantastic job, let up 2 pressures the entire day. So I truly believe that either Graham Glasgow for the rest of the season, if he needs a break for a couple of weeks, no problem. Let's let Mahogany handle that. And if at the end of the year we lose either Kevin Zeitler, or if there's something wrong with Glasgow, where he signed for another year still.
3 years. He signed for 3 years.
He's a perfect replacement at guard if we need another guard. And Zeitler, he was only a 1-year rental, so who knows? But if both of them come back, we have a great backup now. So Awasika's been our backup for the last couple of years, and he didn't get the nod this week. The rookie did, and the rookie played amazingly.
Yeah, he did. And to be honest with you, I think what you're seeing is what was supposed to be no less than a 3rd round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that I worked up on Mahogany, I had him somewhere in the 3rd round. I thought he was going to be a great addition to whoever got him. Prior to the draft, he was slated as a 3rd round. Most of your guards are going to end up, somewhere between that 3rd and 4th round bucket, if they're any good, right? Mm-hmm. He slid to the 6th round. And he slid to the 6th round because some team found out that he had, one leg longer than the other?
An inch.
So, let's just be real here. I don't know which leg it is. But let's just say, so he was playing left guard. If it's his left leg, well, your anchor leg is an inch longer. That's actually a benefit. If you're playing right guard and it's your right leg that's an inch longer and your anchor leg is an inch long, it's a benefit. Because your body, your pad level is now tilted forward, a little bit. I don't know the degrees of variation, but that would help him. It wouldn't hurt him. So depending on which guard spot he played, and I would assume that the Lions are smart enough to figure that out to say, okay, your left leg's, longer or whatever, however, he aligns. That's the position you're going to play because you got a little bit of a bonus inch there to kind of help you anchor a little bit. So you're seeing a 3rd round pick out there that playing the way that he should be playing.
Yeah. And he hadn't played left guard since his freshman year in college. And he actually called up his college coach to tell him when he found out on Friday that he was going to play left guard for the first time since college.
I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, he played his heart out. I thought he looked natural in there. And I said this yesterday in the post game show. What an amazing opportunity for a guy that slides in the draft, and then he gets mono, and he's battling mono for months. He misses all of training camp. He's on the NFI list for 8 or 9 weeks this season, and then he finally gets called up and elevated. And a short time later, he gets an opportunity to play. And he held his own. Matter of fact, he was the 3rd highest graded, offensive lineman yesterday. Penei Sewell was the worst graded, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, Penei Sewell was the worst graded lineman for the Lions yesterday, which was interesting. But we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see where those final grades come out.
Yeah.
Quick reminder this morning: if you guys are new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. And then if you do not want ads on at all you got to do is hit the like button. So when we get to 60 likes. We try to get to 60 before 8:30, so you got about 3 minutes. We turn the ads off. So just quickly get out, smash that like button real quick, get it above 60, and we will turn off ads for you guys this morning. That way you have a nice seamless interaction, not only with the chat this morning, but also with the show. And we keep sprinting forward. We don't do a lot of commercials here. We really don't. It's 2 hours of straight talk almost the entire time. But right now I'm going to give you a little bit of a promo of a new show that's coming up here really soon. This is about the only ad that we do until the end of the show. And we'll be right back here in about 45 seconds. Well, let's see those likes up by the time we get back.
3 guys in the huddle, man, talking football. NFL, college, man, they cover it all. Feel the tension, prediction, and the call. Fantasy life, and rise or fall. Talking football night and day, NFL and college, hey, bets and stats, they don't play. Fantasy champs on our way. Guitars, roaring hearts, beating fast. Catch a pass, score, man, have a blast. 3 voices, keeping it clear. Listen up, the season's here. Guitars, roaring hearts, beating fast. Catch a pass, score, man, have a blast. 3 voices, keeping it clear. Listen up, the season's here. Talking football night and day. NFL and college, hey. Bets and stats, they don't play. Fantasy champs on our way. Guitars, roaring hearts, beating fast. Catch a pass, score, man, have a blast. 3 voices, keeping it clear.
All right. So talking football will be coming to you guys very soon. These guys have been doing it for 6 years now. They have a podcast on Apple and Spotify. You can find it at Talkin_Football. And you can subscribe here at Talkin_Football1. It's Talkin with no G. So just Talkin_Football1. Check it out. We'll be lining them up real soon with a lot of content. We're going to drop a lot of content all at once. And we're going to do a live show to introduce them to you guys. I think you're really going to enjoy what they do. So great group of minds. They do a really good job. We're almost there. You guys got about 15 more likes. We got a couple more minutes. Let's get it done. We got almost 100 viewers in right now, 106 viewers. All we need is 15 more likes. We'll turn the ads off. So let's talk about the play heard around the world yesterday. And I've got a bone to pick with Ben Johnson. I'm sorry. I do. I love this trick play. Matter of fact, as we were watching it live, we had Riley on yesterday. As we were watching it live, I said, oh my God, that was a trick play. They faked that fumble. And Riley was like, what are you talking about? He's like, you saw that live? I'm like, yeah, I could tell it was live. I could tell they were faking it. They never put the ball on the ground. You know, it was intentional. It wasn't by, accident. And so I quickly posted it on Twitter, like this was a fake, before anybody even realized it was a fake.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they announced at the end of the game it was a planned fake. Here's my bone to pick. That is probably one of the best fakes that I have seen ever. To come up with a play that gives you like a 30-yard touchdown to Sam Laporta. You could put any receiver in that role to catch that pass. J-Mo, Amon-Ra, Laporta, doesn't matter. Brock Wright even. Why did we just waste that play? Why did we just waste that play? And you know what they did? They took that play from what happened with the Packers like a week ago or so.
With Jordan Love.
Yeah, and that wasn't an intentional play by them. That was an actual fumble.
Yes.
Man, we burned that play. I'm like, come on. But that was, did we really need it? Like, I think we would have scored either way. Man, I love it though. Let's read what Eric Edholm had to say. He said, Lions break out the crazy trick play TD in a win over the Bears. It worked like a charm. He says, the Detroit Lions have this gadget play thing kind of going down. Or I'm sorry, gadget play thing so down now that they're turning pratfalls into touchdowns. What is pratfall? I'm not sure what that means. But the Lions' latest sorcery by Ben Johnson on Sunday against the Bears was having Jared Goff and Jahmyr Gibbs fake choreographed stumbles on what looked like a botch stretch run play, or perhaps even a fumble. But Jared Goff got the last laugh, easily regaining his balance and firing a touchdown to Sam Laporta, who had a 5-yard lead on the closest corner. The Bears had cut the Lions lead to 27-14 at halftime on Sunday, but it was a 21-yard touchdown by Sam Laporta that not only froze the defense during the Lions' theatrics, but it also gave them a 20-point cushion in the third quarter that they would sit on for the rest of the game. They won 34-17, so I think the Bears kicked a field goal later in the game, and I was even questioning that. Like, you're kicking a field goal when you're down by 20? What are you doing? Like, you got to keep going. You don't kick a field goal there.
That was mystifying.
Yeah, it was. Dan Campbell had this to say. He said, Ben, that was one of his brainchilds. We massaged it and worked it. How do we make this thing better? Just Goff, Gibby, Laporta, the offensive line making it work. We cooked it all week, and they did a heck of a job. I just don't understand. I mean, I'm glad that they have the play, but I would question why they burned it against the Bears in a game that, I mean, I felt it was never out of control. I felt like we were never going to relinquish, a bunch of yards and touchdowns like they did the last meeting in the second half. Quote by Jared Goff says that they ran it 3 or 4 times during the week. At first, it started on Monday with Ben asking me if I thought that I could actually fumble on purpose and pick it back up. And I said, I don't know about that, end quote. But they got it done. Ben is a genius, dude. This is why we can't lose this dude, and we're going to. But we know what's in his head. We know what's coming. And I think that the only benefit when Ben Johnson becomes a head coach next season is that we know that there's always a trick play around the corner when we face him. I have a feeling we'll face Ben Johnson next year in a head coaching role. I don't like it, but I think it's going to happen.
I got something for you with this, Will.
Okay.
Give me 1 second here.
This is our NFL news segment, by the way.
Yeah, so this is about Ben Johnson. This is a tweet from Skip Bayless yesterday. And I reposted this. And I said, he also kicks puppies. He cuts in line in front of little old ladies at the grocery store, and he swears at babies. Okay. This is what Skip Bayless put. Oh, no. Now the Lions' fake fumble TD pass will make Ben Johnson even more of a genius. No doubt he's a very good coordinator and play caller. But what has he ever done to qualify him as a head coach?
Wow.
A leader of an entire football team? Beware hiring Ben Johnson as a head coach.
You know what?
So I put the kicking puppies and all the other stuff on there too. Yeah, we want to keep them. So listen to Skip. You don't want Ben Johnson as your head coach.
Yeah, I see we're kind of stuck at 50 likes. We just need to get 10 more. Just need to get like 10 more. Come on, people. Let's go. Let's get them off. We've never suffered to get 60. We usually have 100 by now.
What do you guys think about Skip Bayless talking crap about Ben Johnson and his play calling?
Well, let's just be real here. I think that, Skip is a diehard Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
Okay. What has Mike McCarthy or anybody else really done to deserve a head coaching job? If I were to say something like that, you would think I'm just an idiot, that I've never watched a game of football in my life.
Yep.
Right? I think that Ben has made his own case. He's a leader of men. He has the respect of the room. He has the respect of the team. He's continually thinking forward, right? He's not stuck. Now, I think that Ben gets too cute at times with some, certain plays, but I mean, what coordinator doesn't? They all get a little bit stuck or a little bit gun shy, or, maybe they're just trying to do what they think is going to work without maybe possibly turning the ball over. Ben is going to get a head coaching job, and whatever job he gets, whatever team he goes to, is going to be a perennial winner in very short order. I guarantee you. I don't know about his defensive mind. I have no idea what his defensive mind is, and I don't know if anyone's ever asked Ben Johnson if he has any sort of a defensive plan. But that's where you have to trust in the people you hire. And I think that Ben would probably attract some pretty solid coordinators. Who knows? He might even take a couple of guys from the Lions. I hope not, but he might. It may happen. Ben's going to get a head coaching job. Skip is just salty. That's all. Skip just needs to retire from putting anything on social media or on air, man. He's one of the most hated individuals right now in sports.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so next up, Commanders take down the Eagles. So we were talking about this a little bit, earlier today, that the Lions really don't want the help. I mean, they do. Of course, they would take it in a heartbeat, but they don't really want it or need it. They want to win out on their own. So Jaden Daniels yesterday always believed that they can win a game no matter what. He said that the game is never over until the clock hits zero, and it hit zero, and they were up, and they won. The Eagles had a 30-28 lead with 3:48 remaining. And then Daniels threw an interception. I'm like, oh no, what's going to happen? But then, what happened at that? They returned to the Washington 27-yard line. 4 plays and 55 seconds later, they kicked another field goal. So it's 33-28. Commanders have to get a touchdown. There was no 2-minute stoppage. There was one timeout, down on a touchdown. Then Daniels is at his best. Even after that interception, he was able to walk his guys all the way back down the field. A penalty on this kickoff, though, that Washington got in the very next play, right after the field goal, started them on their 43-yard line. I mean, it didn't shape up any better than that. I mean, the Eagle clearly jumped. If you watch the replay, he jumped during the kick. So that gave the Washington Commanders a bit of a head start on their next possession. And then Daniels carried them most of the way. He completed 4 of 5 passes on the final drive with a spike to stop the clock. And then 33 yards on 2 runs. He hit Crowder for a 9-yard TD with 6 seconds left. What an amazing comeback. I've really enjoyed watching the Commanders do what they do all season. Dan Quinn has been a perfect mix for that team as a head coach. And yesterday, he has proven why he was the right choice for that team, bringing that team all the way back. Yeah, was it against a banged-up Eagles team? It absolutely was, but they still had their defense on the field. And what did the Commanders score? Was it like 28 unanswered points?
Yeah.
Or something close to that. They scored a lot of points in that second half that went unanswered, and they kept the Eagles off the board. So it helped the Lions get one more win closer to that 1 seed. 30 seconds to you on the game yesterday, or anything you're thinking about here for the 1 seed, and then we'll move on from that.
Yeah, the Commanders, they really remind me of the Lions. Like a lot. Especially like the Lions from 2 years ago when we went 9-8. Just clawing and fighting and doing everything we can against our division rivals to get into the playoffs. And we did everything we could to get into playoffs. We just, the Seahawks couldn't help us out that time, and they couldn't help us out this time. The Seahawks, they owe us. They need to beat somebody or lose to somebody when we need it one time. They just never seem to help us out. So Seahawks, go swim in the ocean or something. You guys are no good to me. I don't like the Seahawks. I would have loved to have seen the Seahawks win that game last night. Ed O'Neill with a super chat. While I think Green Bay beats Minnesota, and that would leave the Lions with a win, and you're in, secure everything week 17, Lions will sweep Kevin O'Connell, who is 1-4 versus Detroit. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, it'll probably happen. So speaking about the Seahawks game yesterday, my post yesterday was the Seahawks, or I'm sorry, the Vikings, just won another game by the skin of their fraud's ass. Yeah. They're absolute frauds. I'm sorry. I'm really sick of that one Vikings content creator that he tries to take every pot shot at the Lions. I get it. You're just trying to get likes and clicks and all that stuff. But to try to say that the Lions are frauds when we have the biggest point differential in the league,
yeah,
it just doesn't make sense, buddy. It doesn't make sense.
Our point differential is going to be over 200. Over 200. It's at 194 right now.
If you look at the Vikings' entire schedule, so I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to call them all out. Let's go all the way back to week 1.
They've beat 3 teams with a winning record.
Yeah, but I'm talking about points. So, yeah, they beat the Giants pretty handily by 22 points, right? They beat the 49ers by 6 points. I don't remember who was out in that game. They beat the Texans by a good margin. Then they barely beat the Packers by 2 points. They beat the Jets by 6 points. We beat them by 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
The Rams beat them by 10. They barely beat the Colts by a touchdown. They barely beat the Jags by 5 points. They beat the Titans by 10. We spoke the Titans by 40 something?
38 points.
Yeah, it was crazy. The Bears, they barely beat the Bears by 3 points. They barely beat the Cardinals by 1 point. They smoked the Falcons, which was a turnover frenzy for Kirk Cousins. And then they beat the Bears recently by 18 points. Mm-hmm. Then they barely beat the Seahawks by 3. So they've been winning games by, an average of 6 points, 7 points a game for the most of the season.
All one-score games. Yeah.
The majority of one. They had a few good games, but against crap teams, and against crap teams where you're supposed to kick the crap out of them, they're barely winning.
Mm-hmm.
What do the Lions do when we face an inferior opponent?
Oh, we crush them.
We crush them. And that's what you're supposed to do. When you go up against a good opponent, it's usually a better game, but you still see the Lions winning by double digits the majority of the time. So if you want to talk about a team that's a fraud right now, it is the Vikings. I do not expect the Vikings to get past the first round. And I don't really care who they're going up against. If it's the Packers, if it's the Bucks, I don't care who it is. They're gonna lose. Unless it's the Eagles, though. If it's the Eagles, I want them to win.
So I got a question for you, Will. Right now, the Minnesota Vikings are just like us. They're 13-2. And the Kansas City Chiefs are 14-1. Which team is scarier to you if we were to play them today?
Which team? The
Kansas
Chiefs?
City or the Vikings? Which team do you think is better?
The Vikings.
Really?
Yeah, only because of their defense.
Ah.
And they have a couple of elite, playmakers there on the offense, but look, I think that the Chiefs are probably the second biggest frauds this season. If you look at their schedule, and if you look at the teams that they've beaten and how they've barely beat a lot of teams, okay, so they have Travis Kelce. If you isolate Travis Kelce, who do they have?
Yeah.
Isaiah Pacheco? Okay, The Lions have done great against the run for almost 30 games in a row, and then they finally let up a 100-yard game.
Yep.
So I'm not worried about the run game. I think that, now that we're fairly healthy and we're getting healthier, I'm not worried about the run game for the Lions at all. Yesterday, what did we let up? So we let up 59 yards of rushing to all Bears players. So huge game by the Lions defense. I'm not worried about the run game. If you look at the Chiefs, let me just pull them up.
Well, one thing I'll say about the Chiefs, I've watched a couple of their games now, and I got to watch their game, Saturday. and their other game the week before. And if you watched that game, their quarterback, Mahomes, fumbles the ball. It gets picked up by the defense and taken in for a score. They call it a touchdown, everything. And then miraculously, it's called not a fumble, but an incomplete pass. And there's a flag on someone else. And I'm just like, and they got him for hitting the quarterback late. And
but that would be after the fumble though. So
yeah,
if you hit the quarterback late, that's after the fumble.
Yeah, so it was a fumble that turned into an incomplete pass plus a roughing the passer penalty. So it went from them being a touchdown to them having a first down and 15 yards.
That happened yesterday?
Yeah, on Saturday. It was nuts. The craziest reffing I've ever seen in my life has been for the Chiefs. And it's happened multiple times. And these people that, the tinfoil hat.
Look, the Chiefs have been getting helped out by the refs all season.
They have been. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
And
it's more than if it's more than one game, and if it's two games, okay. But if it's more than two games, it's there's a little bit of a consistency here. If it's more than 4 games, you've got a problem. It's been like 7 games this year.
It's egregious. I can't believe the reffing they've gotten. Ed O'Neill with another super chat. Vikings D is good. Vikings bad QBs, competent QBs do well.
What he's saying is the Vikings D is good against bad quarterbacks. Competent quarterbacks do well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the Vikings. They've got a really good defense, but the defense that they've tried to throw at the Lions, it works well to our scheme and what we're able to do. And I think you heard it last night from, was it Jameson Williams? He said that when you go single up on us, he said something, when you go single high, something, we're going to run all over you. But when you load the box, that we're going to, he said something to that effect. I'll have to go back and listen to it. If you haven't listened to the media availability, I'll do a video today highlighting some of it, because there were some good statements in there, but they kind of recognized, some of the plays that these other teams are doing that they're able to just pick apart. But what I was saying about the Chiefs, if you look at them, okay, Kareem Hunt, when did he join the Chiefs? Wasn't it just like 7 weeks ago?
Yeah, 6 or 7 weeks ago.
So he has 708 yards. So he's having a pretty good season.
Yeah.
Isaiah Pacheco only has 292. Patty Mahomes has 295. Carson Steele has 158. And they got a bunch of players that have all touched the ball rushing wise, but they have 1,694 rushing yards between like 10 guys.
They had Clyde Edwards-Helaire also, didn't they?
Yeah, but he's gone now.
Yeah, but I'm just saying he might have had a few yards.
I don't even know if he got in at all this year, but he's not listed. I can't imagine that they would just take him off the stat line. He's not listed at all that I see. And as far as passing, Patrick Mahomes has 3,608 yards. He's thrown 23 TDs. What does Jared Goff have? 33? Something like that?
Yeah, 33 touchdowns.
He's also thrown 11 interceptions, and he's been sacked 36 times. I'm not worried about the Chiefs. I'm really not. Travis Kelce is having a regressing, sort of a year, 739 yards, 2 TDs on the entire season.
Man, the super chats just keep coming.
Attila Hardy super chat says, any word on why Mosley and Broderick Martin didn't play? Well, Martin has been a healthy scratch. They're obviously going to go with, the guys that are producing right now. And then we'll get to an update on Alex Anzalone. Reeves Maben is back, but he was held out of this game. He was just brought back this last week, so he's going to need a little bit of time. And then Rakestraw, we'll get into that too. And then how do we think Iffy did? He is on the docket, so we will get to Iffy. Appreciate your $5 super chat this morning. We'll get to all of those statements here in just a moment. Next up, let's talk about Sam Laporta. Enough about the Chiefs.
I was just wondering what your thoughts were between the Vikings and the Chiefs, and I got what I wanted.
Yeah, I'm more worried about the Vikings defense. I'm not worried about the Chiefs at all. So this news you guys aren't going to like. Remember Sam Laporta? Remember that guy?
Mm-hmm.
Remember what he did last year?
Yeah.
886 receiving yards, 10 touchdowns. I think he had like 86 catches. I think it was pretty close to what his stats were last year. Well, there's a guy by the name of Brock Bowers that I said in the spring that I absolutely did not like, even though I wasn't afraid of the Lions picking him up. I thought if the Lions picked up Brock Bowers, man, we would have been unstoppable. But I did not like how high he was on the draft board at all. And I was wrong. And I was very wrong. So the Raiders are having a terrible season, and they have just fed Brock Bowers all season. Right now, Brock Bowers has bested our Sam Laporta in rookie seasons. So Bowers became the third rookie tight end in NFL history to record 1,000-yard receiving season. He has, hold on, where is it? He caught his 10th pass of the game yesterday, which was his 100th for the season.
Wow.
So 1,000 yards, 100 catches, and I don't know how many touchdowns he has. But if you look at the overall hierarchy of tight ends, Mike Ditka, 1961, had 1,076. Kyle Pitts had 1,026. Brock Bowers can beat both of them.
Mm-hmm.
He's got 2 more games to average about 40 yards a game, and he's going to beat Mike Ditka, and that is held since 1961. Bowers had 11 receptions, 99 yards yesterday, bringing his totals to 101. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. He's only 10 yards shy of Mike Ditka. He has 1,067 yards on the season.
I was going to say, I hope he breaks it this week and not next week, so people don't do it's 17 games now.
Yeah, that's very. I'm glad you said that, because there's some,
because I think Ditka did
relevancy to that.
14 games. He didn't have 16 games.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But anyway, what an amazing season for Brock Bowers. But the fact that he has bested our Sam Laporta, and what Sam Laporta did last year, I thought was just absolutely incredible. And, you just don't see rookie tight ends do that. And that's why teams usually don't take tight ends very early. If they get 500 yards in their rookie season, that's a great rookie season. If they catch 45, 50 balls in their rookie season, that's a phenomenal rookie season. And what Sam Laporta did last season, put him in that top 10 of all time. Actually, his top 5, I think, of all time for what he's done, but top 10 all time best tight ends in the league, and will be, by the time he retires, will be a top 10 tight end in the league. Brock Bowers is chasing him. He is right there with him. So what an excellent season so far for Brock Bowers. I did not expect it, but then again, when you don't have anybody to pass the ball to, Devontae Adams is no longer there.
Yep.
Who are you going to pass to? So whoever has Brock Bowers on their fantasy team this year, you probably did quite well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, injuries and notables. Week 16. What happened for the Lions?
0 injuries.
It's about freaking time. No injuries
this week.
No injuries this week. I'm sure you got some people that are banged up, but no major injuries. Nobody got carted off. We'll see what the injury report says, here in a few days, but what a good game for the Lions to get out injury free. That's just what they need to maintain now for the rest of the season. When I looked at this report, every team is listed, besides a few, but the Detroit Lions. So Arizona Cardinals, they lost James Conner to a knee. They lost Jonah Williams with a knee and Joey Blunt with ribs. Atlanta Falcons, Drake London with a hamstring. Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen suffered a right elbow contusion, which is his throwing arm. And that was suffered in the fourth quarter. Yeah, he didn't miss any game action, but he got up favoring his right hand after falling on a run attempt, and then later had the ball slip out of his hand on a deep pass attempt on the following play. So that's one to watch now for the rest of the season. How is that going to affect his throwing arm? Is it going to be able to get healed up before playoffs? Maybe not. Those types of injuries can tend to linger depending on how bad it is. Chicago Bears, as we know, they lost Braxton Jones and Tevin Jenkins. So the 2 guys that were questionable the whole week for them ended up playing and ended up getting injured again. Cincinnati Bengals lost Amarius Mims to an ankle. Dallas Cowboys lost Jalen Tolbert to a finger. Jalen Jones from the Colts apparently was hit in the throat, and he was ruled out for the game. Jaguars Walker Little was lost to an ankle. Ventrell Miller did not return to an ankle, and Anton Harrison did not return to a shoulder. Miami Dolphins, guess what? The guy that you guys are expecting to possibly make a run for the Lions is now expected to be released. So defensive lineman Calais Campbell might be released if the Dolphins fall out of playoff contention, giving the 38-year-old veteran the option to land with a playoff-bound team. That was reported again by Ian Rappaport. But they did lose Kendall Fuller to a knee and Jordan Brooks to a knee. The Giants lost Micah McFadden and Jason Pinnock. The Jets lost Fashanu, rookie this year, one of the best rookie offensive linemen taken in this year's draft. They also lost Sauce Gardner to a hamstring and Tony Adams to an ankle. The Eagles lost Jalen Hurts to a concussion. I'm expecting Hurts to be back this week, but we'll see. We'll follow the reports and see where he's going. They also lost Will Shipley to a concussion, Josh Sweat to an ankle, and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was ejected from the game in the second half after picking up his second unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. And I'm going to stop there with injuries because the rest of it you guys can look up. But I wanted to get to this point. Brian Branch apparently has a checkered past with the NFL right now. I feel like he's being targeted by the NFL and the referees. But now Jamison Williams, who's getting these phantom calls yesterday, it was an unsportsmanlike phantom call. And I just gave him the benefit of the doubt before the game to say he doesn't do stupid stuff. I didn't see him do anything stupid. Did anybody see anything on a replay that I didn't see?
This is what they said he did. They said that he spun the ball.
Yeah, I saw him do that.
And even he said, everybody spins the ball after, but because he spun it into their bench, that is why they threw the flag. It had nothing to do. They didn't even say a word to each other. So it had nothing to do with talking or swearing or any of that. And both him and the defender both said they have no feud with each other. They're over it. They're done.
So during the live stream, I said the only thing I saw him do is spin the ball. But since when is that a penalty? Is that some unwritten rule somewhere that you can't spin the ball on the sideline?
Yeah, apparently that's it.
I mean, even at the end of the game, they were trying to huddle up and come up with some cockamamie, penalty against the Lions. They were trying to call, in my opinion, pass interference after the ball was tipped by an offensive player and then he was tackled in the end zone. I feel like those refs were trying to call a pass interference, which, man, we would have been raining down some hate because you can't call pass interference after the ball's tipped.
Yep.
So anyway, I'm a little bit worried about Branch and JMO that if they don't keep their noses extremely clean in some of these games, are they going to is the NFL going to try and target these guys to get two unsportsmanlikes in the game and get ejected?
That's crazy. Now, did you watch that CJ ejection?
He didn't do anything either. The first time
he was standing there and the guy hit his helmet off. It was for what he said, not his actions, I guess. But
since when are words a penalty?
Exactly. Now if they're saying something derogatory, maybe, but these refs, I don't know if they don't have thick skin or what, but throwing flags for guys jawing at each other. Come on. It's the NFL. These guys are warriors. They're gladiators out there. These are modern day gladiators. You can't throw flags for them talking business with each other.
Well, it's so, I mean, is it subjective to each ref as to what constitutes a penalty for John? And it doesn't make any sense to me. I think the NFL needs to figure this out quickly, and it needs to happen in this offseason to say, look, you can't say X, Y, and Z. But then again, what happened to your First Amendment rights? You can't say whatever you want to say whenever you want to say it. I mean, there's a difference between slandering someone, defaming someone, libel. There's very clear lines. Like the minute you attack somebody and you come up with lies and you spew lies that hurt somebody's credibility or their name or whatever they do, their business, their livelihood, well, that meets the definition of defamation. But in this case, you can't just say whatever you want to somebody. I mean, outside of, like you said, if it's derogatory or if it's racial slurring or something like that, that I would understand. But these guys are just drawing at each other. I mean, CJ was just kind of sitting back with his arms, like doing nothing. I don't get it.
Yeah,
I really don't get it.
Me neither.
All right, let's turn this back to some Lions news. What happened in yesterday's game? Let's get to the main question that just came in by Attila Hardy. So, Eric, you had an update on injuries.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the injury real quick. Alex Anzalone, Rakestraw, Raymond. What do we got going on? And before you answer that, like I said earlier, Jalen Reeves-Maybin is back. He was back last week. Clearly, they've got to get him some snaps and get him ready. Maybe he's up this week versus the 49ers. We'll see.
Yeah.
But what's going on with the other three, Anzalone, Rakestraw, and Raymond?
All right. So Anzalone broke his forearm during the Lions' Week 11 win over the Jaguars, which prompted Detroit to place the veteran linebacker on injured reserve. It was a nasty break. And that was on November 18th. The initial timeline for his return was 6 to 8 weeks. And while it doesn't appear likely that he'll be activated off IR for the Lions, the last 2 games of the regular season. So it's possible he could be back for one of the last 2, but they can start his 3-week window today. So he is eligible to be put on his 3-week window today. And I will say during the last game that I went to against the Bills, he was on the sideline, no cast on his arm, and he looked great. And he was getting the crowd into things and standing right on the sideline with everybody. So he's able to defend himself if somebody runs into him or whatever. And they felt comfortable having him on the sideline. So that gives me hope that he is on schedule or ahead of schedule. I just don't think we're going to see him until the second week of the playoffs. Give him some time to heal up completely. But I do believe they will start his clock either this week or next week.
Yeah, I think it only makes sense to try to get him up as fast as you can. I would say after the 49ers game, you could start his clock, and then he would have at least 2 weeks of practice before they play their first playoff game if they don't finish as the 1 seed. And if you start his clock after the 49ers game, he would then have 3 weeks of practice before their first divisional matchup. So I think the next week you'll probably see Anzalone elevated or reactivated, getting him back into practice. I think that's the soonest you're going to see him. If they do something this week, I would be really surprised because this is a short week for them. You've got Christmas in between, and I assume that they're not doing anything on Christmas. But other teams are playing on Christmas. Maybe the Lions are doing something today and trying to make up for some lost time, on Wednesday. So I think that we'll see Anzalone back for the first playoff game. Yeah.
If I was the Lions, I would just start his 3-week practice window now. Seriously, because he can practice with, a pad or a cast on his arm, and he doesn't need to be tackling. He can just go through walkthroughs, just have him do walkthrough days, and he can practice on and work with the trainer on the other days. But
he can be in the room, and he can be in the room. He just can't physically practice. He can be in the building. He can work out, he can get training as far as, recovery reps and all that stuff with the training staff. He just can't practice with the team, but he can sit in the meeting room. Yeah. I think if you start it this week, you're kind of wasting a week for him to be on the field.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, yesterday, our linebacker play from Jack Campbell was amazing. But our linebacker play from Turner was atrocious.
Yeah, Turner's got a problem biting.
Yeah. And I don't know if David Long played yesterday. I don't know who else played at linebacker yesterday, but our linebackers weren't super impressive. Jack Campbell was the only one that I saw that was.
Well, he was the highest graded defensive player, highest graded lineman of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was good to see Nowaski back in there. I thought our linebacker play was much improved as far as Nowaski and Nyman and Campbell. Yeah, Turner's got a problem biting. He bites inside hard, and he's getting burned by it. It's the same thing that happened last week.
Yeah,
against the Bills, he bit inside really hard. So defensive snaps yesterday. You're asking about linebackers. So Ben Nyman got in 41. Nowaski 24, Turner 23. Mitchell Agood played edge primarily, but he got 14. Pittman got 11. Who was the guy that you asked if he played? David Long, I don't see listed.
Oh, okay. He might have been inactive yesterday.
Well, at least I don't see him on the defensive snaps. He might be on special teams. I just don't have the special teams snaps in front of me. All right, so who is next? You got Rakestraw and Raymond, right?
Yep. So Raymond is next. He was injured on November 27th. So he injured his foot in the win over the Indianapolis Colts during a punt return. He was carted off the field twice and will now be forced to miss at least the next 4 games. He's eligible to return week 17 against the San Francisco 49ers. So he's eligible this week to start his 3-week window. Whether he does or not, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about how he is doing with that foot. Was it I don't know if it was a Linz Frank or.
No, I think he avoided the Frank injury.
Oh, okay.
I think that was what they were worried about. Is he going to avoid the worst of the worst? And if I remember what I read correctly from a few weeks ago, he avoided that.
So last week at the Bills game, I was sitting right behind the Lions bench, and all of the injured players, all of them, like Pecco and Anzalone and who's the other one? All the defensive guys that are injured, except for Hutch, were all down on the sideline standing together. And I didn't see Khalif Raymond down there because that was one thing I was paying attention to, is any of our guys on IR, if they were standing on the sidelines or not. I did not see Raymond during that game. But I did see Rakestraw.
I would say that he's probably in the same boat as Anzalone, that they'll probably start him next week if he's good to go. You have 3 weeks, but you got to remember too that the Lions don't always use all 3 weeks.
No,
they might bring a player back.
Yeah, because look at Iffy.
On the window, and then bang, you're right back in the fold. It just depends, on how conditioned you are, the nature of the injury. So for something like Khalif Raymond, we have to keep in mind here that this is a foot injury. So all he's doing is upper body, right? He's probably staying off that foot as much as possible. I'm guessing here. I don't know what his training regimen is, but I would be guessing at least for the first week or two, he's probably off that foot, but it's not like he can go out and run around. So he's going to have to get his legs back. I think that's the biggest issue for him is his legs back. All right, now Rakestraw. What's up with Rakestraw?
So Rakestraw, December 16th, Ennis Rakestraw is close, but won't return from IR this week. So Campbell indicated that they won't start Rakestraw's practice window clock this week, but it sounds like he's getting close to ready. And this was last week. I don't see him being ready. Not yet, Campbell said. He's close, but not yet. Rakestraw is eligible to come off injured reserve whenever he's ready. After suffering a hamstring injury, the Lions rookie has only played in 46 defensive snaps this year. So even if he's healthy, he'll likely have to get a significant amount of practice in before Detroit trusts him with a starting role. Yeah, and I don't see him as a starter just quite yet. I think he's one of those ones that needs a year of seasoning, just being on the roster, a second training camp. He needs to bulk up a little bit. I think he's one that I think needs to get up to kind of like Terry and Arnold. He's a little thicker, a little bigger. And Rakestraw is more like JMO. He's like skinny. And I think him putting on like maybe 10 pounds of muscle would be just fantastic. He wouldn't lose too much of a step. And he needs to be a little bigger. He gets injured very easily.
So he's what? He's like 5'11" and 3/4. So he's just under 6 foot. And he weighs like 183.
Yeah. That was his not coming out of college, is that he gets injured a lot.
So you see these players as they go through, like you said, a year of seasoning on a roster, second year, they'll be bulked up a little bit. They're actually eating healthier, right? They're eating the right foods. They're in a training program. It's an NFL level program. They're doing the right things as long as they are doing the right things, right?
Except for JMO, he eats Oreo Blizzards and Big Macs or something, and he pours it on top and eats it like that. And I'm like, and JMO is like this big around. He's just a stick. He's so skinny, and he eats the worst garbage in the world.
He needs the carbs probably to burn in practice, but there's a better way to get carbs, buddy. Just eat pasta. Yeah. I mean, even though pasta is terrible for you, just eat pasta then.
Yeah, they make fun of him for the crap he eats because he eats the worst food.
He's not going to be able to do that for long. It'll catch up to him. So Rakestraw, I have to be honest here. I don't know if Rakestraw makes it back.
Yeah.
With all the injuries that we have and where the roster is today, we've got Iffy back. And even though we lost Carlton, so Iffy replaced Carlton, right? We lost Dorsey. Manuel Mosley really replaces Dorsey. I'm not saying one for one positional wise, I'm just saying body for body. I don't know if Rakestraw makes it back. He might, but I don't know if there's going to be enough room by the time they bring everybody back, because you're still trying to bring back Leaf and Anzalone at a minimum. I don't know if there's going to be enough room.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I mean, he'll probably be back on the practice. I don't even think you put him on the practice squad because someone could snipe him. He might not make it back at all. We'll see where it goes.
Might just have to shut him down for the year.
Okay. Rest of the news for today. Where do we at? We're at 9:13 in the morning, and this day's going slow today. Let's talk about the game yesterday a little bit. So turnovers win games, right? We know that. Turnover differential is a big part of the Lions' game planning this season. Primarily had a lot of interceptions throughout the season, not a whole lot of fumble recoveries, but yesterday the defense came up with 2 fumble recoveries. One was a muffed handoff where Caleb Williams didn't get the ball released cleanly, and Pascal recovered that one. And then it was, 2 possessions back to back for the Bears. The second one was a fumble that was downfield after a catch by Odunze after it was 19-yard reception. Ben Nyman recovered that one. If I remember correctly, Brian Branch was in on the tackle, and then was it Pittman that came in? I don't remember if it was Pittman or Campbell that came in and punched that ball out. But Ben Nyman came up with it. Branch looked like he got his head kind of cranked on that play. Thankfully, he was okay.
At the bottom of the pile, he was yelling at Jack Campbell because Jack Campbell was trying to take the ball from him. He's like, I got it. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good. So Jay-Z was talking about in the chat was talking about Brandon Joseph. Yes, if you guys don't know what happened, I put a video out on Sunday morning.
That was a bummer.
So Brandon Joseph, whatever he did or didn't do, we don't know the full story. I'm not going to go dig into police reports. I really don't care. You're going to get in trouble this late in the season. You're not going to be on the team. This is a team that's trying to win a Super Bowl. And you've been around the team long enough, you should know that Dan's not going to put up with crap. So whatever happened on Friday night with Brandon Joseph is not what the Lions want on this team. There's a time and a place for everything. You literally have 6 or 7 weeks left of a season right now. That's it. You're almost done. But you're not done until you bring home that Super Bowl. And that's what Dan's focused on. He does not have time to worry. If you're making a lot of plays, right, you're starting games, you're a big part of the team, and you make a mistake, I can see where Dan's probably going to work with you, like JMO, right? Going to work with you a little bit. But if you're hardly making plays and you're hardly in the game and, you know, you're a healthy scratch all the time, or you're down on the practice squad the majority of the time and you're screwing around, he ain't gonna deal with it.
And one thing, every NFL player on every team has a phone number they can call 24 hours a day from anywhere in the United States, and someone will come pick them up.
Yeah.
They
Somebody
never,
will.
ever have to drive drunk, ever. And they make them all program that phone number in their phones. They give it all to them at the beginning of the season. Everybody has to do it. They go through this whole, you know, don't drink and drive spiel from the NFL every year. And if you're in a situation, call this number and someone will come get you within 20 minutes.
I would come get you.
Free Uber anywhere in the United States. They will come get you. They will come get you. And
Well, here's the thing: just you got money, buy a Tesla.
yeah,
It'll drive you home, even though that's still a DUI.
yeah.
It'll drive you home.
Uber, man, Uber's so easy. It costs $20. Take you anywhere you want to go.
That's craziness,
For Detroit, it's double that.
right? Yeah, the
Yeah,
fees go back to the Lions on that one.
Vegas, it was like $17 to go all the way across town. Detroit, it's like $60 to go from 2 miles from the casino down to Ford Field. It's crazy.
You should be walking. I don't know what you're doing, taking an Uber that close, man. You gotta walk.
Oh, from Motor City over to that's
Take a
way
scooter.
more. Oh, it's a lot from Motor City over to Eastern Market and then back to Ford Field is a lot farther than you think, especially when it's super cold.
Oh yeah, if it's cold, you can't do it. All right, so we talked about Iffy Melifonwu. That was the other question that wanted to get answered. So he was surprised himself. He said this after the game, that he was surprised himself that he got 50 snaps in the game. Now, I said on Friday, I thought Iffy would be on a pitch count, probably 25-ish snaps. Well, they doubled that up. And he was, you could tell after the game when he spoke to the media that he was really surprised that he got that many snaps. Like he almost made it seem like he didn't know if he was ready for that. I mean, we think it's easy just to get in and play. A lot of people think that. It's just, I don't think that. But a lot of people think it's just easy to go in and play. It's not. I mean, this is not, it's not like you're just running around having fun. No, I mean, your body's going all out, 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds of a play. And I mean, you burn a ton of energy. And this guy hasn't played a lot of football this year.
No,
so
he missed 14 games.
Yeah, he couldn't believe that he played that much. I can't believe that he played that much. But you know what? Now we got to see, can he get his body, recovered this week and get ready for a Monday night game? If he played a hell of a game. He really did. I am so glad that they got him back up and healthy. I really expected him to be a bigger part of this defense this season. But now that we have another competent guy, that, remember, he was a corner, right? And then he switched to safety. Mm-hmm. So he can play both roles. This is great that we got him back right now, especially with the fact that Carlton Davis went down. He really stepped up and had a pretty good game. Matter of fact, I think he was credited with a pass defense, if I'm not mistaken. Kirby, or Iffy, where are you at? Iffy had 4 tackles, 1 sack, 1 TFL, 1 quarterback hit. So what a great game to come back. If you remember last year, when we were in the nickel quite often, we ran a nickel blitz. It was Iffy coming off the corner. And that's the same thing that they did yesterday. Iffy coming off the corner yesterday. So glad to see him back in the fold. It only elevates what this DB room is able to do. We lost Carlton Davis. We lost Dorsey. Iffy definitely more than makes up for the loss of Dorsey. Not quite Carlton Davis, but he's going to have a position now to help this team win, because this allows Brian Branch to be freed up. You can put Iffy back there with Kirby, and that allows this defense to be more unique. You know who else really stepped up yesterday? Terry and Arnold.
I thought so too.
Now I don't know his exact stats yet, but he had 6 tackles, 1 pass defense on the day, no penalties. Played a hell of a game. I thought that he did well. Yeah, we let up some yards at times, And I did see a couple of plays where he missed the transition between him and Branch, where Branch is trying to take DJ Moore and Terrian was supposed to close down and then cover the flat, and he missed the transition a couple of times. Those are the things that they're just going to have to continue to clean up. It's a communication issue between those guys, and it's happened before with Terrian. It's just part of the rookie growing pains. Good teams will expose it, right? They will find those little nuances in his game, and they're going to expose it in the playoffs. I guarantee it. Let's just hope he's ready by then to, hey, say this is a deficiency in my game, but come the playoffs, I'm going to let you think it's a deficiency. I'm going to jump that route, and I'm finally going to get that interception. So great games by both of those guys to step up and play the way that they did in the wake of Carlton Davis going down.
Yeah, you don't know how happy I was when Terrion Arnold turned around with his back to the defender and put his hand up in the sky and batted that ball out of the air. That was absolute perfection, beautiful from Terrion Arnold. And that's what I've been screaming for him to do all season long. It avoided a pass interference penalty. He batted the ball and he stopped a touchdown. It was an amazing play. And for me, that was his best play of the season, was that play in the back of the end zone.
Another super chat by Ed O'Neill says, Terrian's stare down was lethal. I loved it. I don't know what that refers to, but
he was staring down the ball. He turned his head, got up, and whapped that ball away. It was a thing of beauty. That was his best play of the whole entire season for me. And I was reading a couple articles this morning, and they were doing like studs and duds, and a lot of them had Terrion Arnold as their dud. I kind of have him
for
as
week
both.
16.
Yep, I kind of have him as both. He had a really bad play where Keenan Allen ran right past him. He thought he had safety help. He really didn't, and he blew right by both of them, got the touchdown. That was a horrible play. But then I thought he was a stud because of what he did in the end zone. He had a couple of amazing plays in the end zone. So,
well, I mean, he didn't have the greatest rating yesterday. I mean, he allowed 126 passer rating against, which isn't great, but he was targeted 8 times. We expected it. I said last week that I expect Terrion to get targeted, a lot in this game because, I mean, who's not going to want to take advantage, one, of a rookie, and two, a rookie now playing in a position that he hasn't had to be in. The good news for Terrion is I feel like they've kind of mixed him in pretty well throughout the season. There's been times where he's had to cover Justin Jefferson in the Vikings game. There's other times where he's taken on the number one receiver, and he's done a pretty good job. But he was targeted 8 times. He had 4 receptions against. He allowed 82 yards and a touchdown. He had 1 stop on the day, 6 tackles. I mean, I don't think that he played terrible. 58 snaps, but he just had a bad passer rating against.
Yeah, Ed O'Neill with another super chat. He stared down DJ Moore after the pass defense.
This is a good feel good game, I think, for Terrion Arnold to finally get an opportunity to go up against a couple of good receivers there in Chicago. I doubt that they're playing with the same panaz that they would had they have a winning season and they're playing for something. You probably didn't get the best of DJ Moore and Keenan Allen yesterday. They are probably more going through the motions, maybe a little bit more than that, but I don't think you got the best of those guys yesterday.
Yeah, they were thinking about vacation.
Probably. Next week, against the San Francisco 49ers, I can't remember. Is Deebo Samuel healthy right now?
Yeah, he's okay. But just like the Bears, the 49ers are going to be thinking about vacation. They were eliminated yesterday before their game even started from playoff contention. Them and the Cowboys got eliminated because of some of the other early games. And 49ers didn't look so hot.
I'll get into the 49ers game a little bit later on in the week, but there is quite a bit going on injury-wise for them. There's no reason why we shouldn't steamroll the 49ers. That's my early prediction, but there's a lot going on with injuries for them right now. So despite the injuries, though, talking about injuries, The Lions overcame, pretty significant injuries this season on both sides of the ball, right? We lost David Montgomery last week. Yep. And they again won another road victory, right? This makes seven road wins this year?
Yes, the Lions are the only undefeated team on the road at 7-0. If they win against the 49ers, they will be 8-0. And at 7-0, this broke a record for the most road wins in a season for the Detroit Lions.
To win a championship, you have to be able to play well on the road. And when I keep saying I don't want to see the Lions go on the road, I don't want to see them not get the 1 seed. I mean, we still have an opportunity to play a couple of games at home, depending on what happens in that first week of playoffs. Should the Lions not get the 1 seed, they could still get at least 2 games at home. Just depends on who wins and what happens, right? The more and more I think about it, man, we've been playing really great on the road, despite the injuries. It's just, I'd rather be at home. But I guess I'm not as worried about it. They've got these guys playing better on the road than they are at home. That's what's nuts to me, right? I don't understand it. I did not expect for us to lose 1 game at home this year. Yeah. And we did.
And we're total road warriors now.
Yeah, we do travel well, but I think in the playoffs, it's a bit different. No one's going to be giving up playoff tickets.
Nope.
It's going to be incredibly hard to get playoff tickets at opposing stadiums. Yeah. So, yeah, this is our 7th road win, which is a single season franchise record. And then 8 obviously would just be ice cream on the top of that one. So strong start for the Lions yesterday. The Detroit Lions defense forced 2 early turnovers that we talked about earlier that really set the tone for the game. The offense capitalized. I think we scored 10 points, a touchdown and a field goal off both of those turnovers. It kind of built our lead. And from then on, we just never looked back. The Lions defense really came to play yesterday. I think that they wanted to set the tone, like I said, early and show that, what happened the previous week wasn't going to happen again. We had a fairly conservative approach in the red zone. The Lions opted for a more conservative approach with field goals. So settling for 2 field goals on 4th down, I was a little bit numb to the fact that Dan Campbell wasn't going for it. This suggested maybe a potential shift in the strategy for Dan Campbell headed, towards the playoffs. Eric, what do you think about Dan Campbell not going for it on 4th down early in the game and just taking the points?
Think he's having flashbacks to last week or the week before or the NFC Championship. I don't know. It was strange. And then I also thought it was strange with the Bears not going for it on 4th down and taking 3 points. So yeah, kind of weird, but hey, I'll take it. Sometimes I like taking the points. We don't always have to go for it on 4th down. Maybe he's trying to change the narrative.
Maybe. I just didn't understand it. I didn't understand it, but I agreed with it. At the position of where we were, I just didn't expect for us to go, field goal. I thought that he would just go for it. I'd have to go back and relive where we were on those 4th downs. I might have it here. Like how many yards did we have to go? Does it even make sense at that point? So in the first possession, it felt like we were moving the ball pretty well. 9 plays, 55 yards, and ends up in a field goal. And we were down at the Chicago 12-yard line. It was 3rd and 3. It was an incomplete pass to Laporta, and we kicked the ball on a 4th and 3.
Wow.
That's the one that I'm like, okay, we're taking the points. I get it. You want to take the points. You forced a punt from the Bears on their opening possession. Why not just go for it and try to get that touchdown? But he took the points. And then our second field goal came. Again, we were moving the ball, 7 plays, 44 yards. We started out at the Chicago 43-yard line. Or I'm sorry, we started out on the Detroit 40. We had a quick pass to J-Mo for 17 yards, moved the ball all the way down to the Chicago 16. 3rd and 6. Short right pass was incomplete to J-Mo, and the Lions opted for a field goal on 4th and 6. That one I agree with.
Mm-hmm.
I agree because you're more than 4 yards. You just don't expect to go for it. But at the same token, we have gone for it on 4th and mid and scored touchdowns.
Yeah. What'd you think of the Jake Bates 65-yard field goal try?
That was not needed. I know that Jake probably doesn't care about stats, but at the same token, you're forcing a guy to kick, a huge kick, right? 65 yards outside. If anything, it gave him some practice. I don't think that he's going to be in that situation again this season, but it gave him a little bit of practice. That ball's not flying in cold weather.
Yeah.
And I think for anybody to consider a 65-yard field goal, I almost feel like the conditions either need to be perfect or it has to be like it's win or go home. And this is the only option that we have. I feel like that's kind of where you're at with that. If it was a warm, sunny day in Chicago, that ball's probably good.
Yeah.
We've seen him kick it from 70.
Oh, yeah.
I think that he has the leg. It just wasn't the right temperature out. The ball's hard as a rock.
I have a reel on Facebook of him kicking a 72-yard field goal in pregame warmups at Ford Field.
The guy definitely has a leg. I do agree with that.
Yeah.
Definitely has a
when he
leg.
can kick it through the uprights on a kickoff from the 30, he's definitely got the leg.
So next up, standout performances of the day yesterday. I had one major call wrong on Friday. So I had Sam Laporta getting a TD. I thought Amon-Ra St. Brown would get a TD, and I thought that Jahmyr Gibbs would get at least one TD, if not two. I thought that Jahmyr would have at least 85 yards on the ground and 45 yards through the air. Well, J-Mo, in my opinion, deserved a game ball yesterday. I also said that he would get 23 touches. He had 23 touches. I wish you could bet on that kind of stuff. I wouldn't bet anyway, but he had 109 yards on the ground, averaged 4.7 yards per carry, had one TD on the ground. And then he matched that up with, I want to say it was it 45 yards through the air? Do you know, Eric? Because I don't have the passing. I don't have the passing here. Hold on.
Let me see.
I'll get it. Yeah, he had 45 through the air. So he had 4 receptions, 45 yards, averaged 11.3. So a couple of spot on calls for me from Friday, but at the same token, Jahmyr Gibbs definitely deserved a game ball yesterday. And I am surprised that the game ball went to Amon-Ra, but I think that was a mistake too. I feel like Amon-Ra just snagged it. J-Mo broke down the team. Did the game ball actually go to Amon-Ra or did it go to J-Mo?
Because he said, I don't know the stats, but here's the game ball. And he threw the game ball.
He said, I don't know the stats, but he said it was clutch or something like that.
Yeah.
J-Mo had 143 receiving yards.
Yeah.
He had an 82-yard touchdown, which is the longest scrimmage play touchdown for the Lions since
2013.
Was it 2013?
Yep. And Matt Stafford to Calvin Johnson.
There you go. So I think that J-Mo deserved a game ball yesterday. I think that Jahmyr Gibbs deserved a game ball yesterday. I thought that Jack Campbell deserved a game ball yesterday. So I'm surprised that he only handed out one game ball. I'm really surprised. Who was your standout performances of the day yesterday?
Me? Yeah, I'm going to say J-Mo. J-Mo, I mean, he's now 110 yards from getting 1,000 yards on the season. I called that J-Mo would have 1,000 yards this season. He's got 2 games to do it. He's got to average 55 yards per game. So he needs a couple of big plays, and he's got it. He's got it. And if you remember last year against the 49ers in the NFC Championship game, the Lions used J-Mo quite a bit. He got 2 touchdowns right off the get in that game, 1 running and 1 receiving. So I wouldn't be surprised to see J-Mo have another big game this week. And yeah, J-Mo is my game ball for sure. And I almost would give one to Goff. 3 touchdowns, a bunch of yards, 0 interceptions again. The last 6 games, man, Goff has been on fire. Last week, 5 touchdowns, almost 500 yards, and no interceptions. He's getting the interceptions gone. He's only had 1 interception in the last 6 games. Ever since that Texans game, he's only got 1 interception. He is back to playing at an MVP level. He's got 33 touchdowns on the year. He's over 4,000 yards for the season. Jared Goff, man, he gets my game ball yesterday, and so does JMO. That's my two.
You know why I feel like, outside of being a Lions fan, that Jared Goff should be the MVP this year? This is why. The MVP should go to the player that does the most for their team.
Exactly.
Independently from that, stats do matter, right? I would like to see these same numbers for Josh Allen. Now, I know that Josh Allen hasn't been in the league, I don't believe, as long as Jared Goff. But here's Jared Goff. He has produced 5 games this season with a 70+% completion percentage and 135 passer rating and 2 TDs. This ties for the most such games in a season in NFL history. Okay, that's number one. Number two, Jared Goff has produced 30 games with at least 300 passing yards and 100 passer rating or better. This establishes a new NFL record for the most games with 300 yards and 100 passer rating in 9 seasons. New NFL record. One of many that he has this year. Jared Goff has produced a 70% completion mark in 6 road games this season. Minimum 15 attempts. This ties Matt Schaub in 2009 and Steve Young in 1994 for the second most road games with a 70+% completion percent in a season in NFL history, which I think that he'll probably beat that this weekend against the 49ers. Jared Goff has also produced a passer rating of 100+ in 11 games this year, establishing a new single-season franchise record. Jared Goff, back-to-back 12+ win seasons, now has 13.
Here's another one.
Sure.
Jared Goff joins Peyton Manning and Tom Brady as one of only 3 players in NFL history to win 13 games for 2 different teams.
So when we could go on for days, with all of these things, but when you look around the team and you look at what our players are doing, he has taken a rookie to have what will end up being like the 3rd or 4th best rookie season ever for a tight end. He has taken a 4th round receiver that by all intentions should have been a 1st round receiver by what he's done in the NFL in a redraft, to have a reception yards, or he had a single season reception yards record, right? Last season, I think it was. But he's had over 1,000 yards in 4 seasons. He's damn near at the top or just below every single season. Right now he's 4th with 1,126, talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now he won't be able to catch Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson without 2 monster games, but he could catch CeeDee Lamb and finish 3rd.
That's still really, really good.
Right, but you look at what he's done with the players that he has, and how he spreads the ball around. I mean, 6 receivers catching 5, receptions just a week ago.
Yeah, and that broke an NFL record.
Right. So when you look at what Jared Goff has done independently and for the team, he matches both vehicles perfectly.
And listen,
and I'm not saying Josh Allen isn't a great quarterback.
No, but I would bet anything that Jared Goff has broken more NFL records this year than Josh Allen has.
I would bet on it without even looking. I would bet on it because it's every week. And franchise records. I mean, of course, the Lions haven't had a lot. Franchise records mean something to us. But I think you have to look at the totality of your franchise to say, okay, but some of those records have just never been touched. But honestly, when you look at some of these records that he's hitting, a lot of them match up with NFL records at the same time.
I was wondering something, and maybe you can answer this question for me, Will. What is the best regular season record any NFC North team has ever had? What's the most wins? Is it 15, 14?
NFC?
NFC North.
Oh, NFC North.
What is the most wins any team in the NFC North has ever finished with in the regular season? Is it 15?
Probably. Well, I mean, it depends on what era, right? Are we talking the 17 game season? Are we talking the 16 game season?
NFC North. So since 2000 or whenever we went to the North instead of the Central.
So in the last 34 years or whatever.
20 something. Yeah.
No, it's at least 30.
Is it 30 years we've been the North now?
It's at least, yeah. Because remember, we didn't have 2 playoff wins for, we didn't win the North for the first time in 30 some odd years.
Maybe somebody in the chat can figure it out for me. But I think 15 is the most wins any team in the NFC North has ever had.
So the NFC North started in 1967.
No. That was the Central.
NFC North says the NFC North division was created in 1967 as the Central Division of the NFL's Western Conference and existed for 3 seasons, and then it was the NFC North.
Because we were the NFC Central forever.
Huh?
Because we used to have Tampa
we were the NFC Central before that.
Yeah, we used to have Tampa Bay in our division before they realigned.
Right.
So when the realignment happened, I'm just wondering who, like in the NFC. Yeah. So in 2002, we had the realignment. I'm just wondering who, since we've went to the NFC North instead of the NFC Central, has had the best win record. So, I mean, regular season, what's the most wins? We could end up possibly having the most, tying or creating a new most wins ever in the NFC North.
So this is I'm just pulling the stats from Fox, but it says 1967, the Green Bay Packers won the first NFC North crown.
I think they might have misspoke, because the NFC North didn't start until 2002.
Oh, way before that. Way before that. I'm telling you, it was no later than 1970.
No, because we didn't have realignment until 2002. It was
realignment has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, but we were the NFC Central before that. Okay, so in 2011, the Packers won 15 games. So if we go 15-2, we could tie for the best record ever in the NFC North. That's incredible.
So was it 2002 that it was actually named the North?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Before that, it was the NFC Central, because we had 5 teams in our division.
I'm trying to find it on Wiki.
Because we always used to play Tampa twice a year.
Yeah, I remember playing Tampa. That was the NFC Central. That was from 1970 to 2001.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were
moved to the NFC South
1 year after they joined the league as an expansion team until 2002, when they moved to the NFC South. After the merger. Why doesn't this make any sense?
Oh, wow. ARF says Jared Goff set an NFL record for the 8th time this year, which is an NFL record for setting NFL records in 1 year. Wow, that's crazy.
Say that again.
So he's broken the most NFL records in a season with 8 new NFL records this year.
Okay, so NFC North, you're right, is 2002. So I don't understand then why.
I don't know. I think somebody just mislabeled it or misspoke on something you read there.
Yeah, but I mean, even when we were talking about everything that we did last year, we were talking about the NFC North, and it's been over 30 years.
Oh, since we won the division, yeah.
Right, but that would only matter for the NFC North division. If it was the Central, who cares?
Yeah.
So if it's been over 30 years since we won a division, well, 2002 is not 30 years ago.
No.
So that's where the number came from for me.
Yeah. So Will, Riley asked me, and I think you on Twitter last night, to look at something. So before the game at Chicago yesterday, a Lions fan named Ben Roth happened to go to the game yesterday. He's from Texas. He's a firefighter, EMS guy. And him and his daughter went to the Lions game, and they spoke to somebody that they were sitting next to. And the guy they were sitting next to, he had tickets to go down on the field before the game and meet some of the players. Well, his wife got sick and didn't make the game, and he asked Ben and his daughter if they would like to go down on the field because he wanted someone with their daughter to go on the field. So he went down on the field, and a gentleman had a heart attack. And he jumped right in, saved the guy's life with CPR, and shocked him and got his heart back into rhythm. And the gentleman left in an ambulance, but because of Ben's super fast actions, he actually saved the guy's life. So that was pretty cool to see a Lions fan save somebody's life pregame right down on the field before the game. And they said it only took about 30 seconds for one of the staff of the Chicago Bears to grab the things that they shock him with and bring it over for him. And it was because of his quick actions that they
is Ben a doctor?
He's a firefighter EMS guy.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So he knew exactly what to do. And he's like, yep, I just went into job mode. He ran right away from his daughter. His daughter just stood there. I think she was 7 years old, just stood there and waited in line. And her dad went over, saved the guy's life, and came right back.
So Ben wouldn't have been on the field had the other couple not given up the tickets.
Exactly.
It's kind of crazy how the world works, doesn't it?
Yeah. They were saying it was meant to be that he was supposed to be down on the field to save that guy's life.
Well, they better be sending that guy and his daughter to the Super Bowl, man.
Something. Yeah. They should do something for him and his daughter. Yeah.
So I'm having trouble finding the most wins ever by an NFC North team. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. They said it was 15-2.
And who had it? The Packers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought it would be 15
by the Packers. Yep. And I don't know if it's 15-2 or 15-1. I can't remember if it was but it was 15 wins in 2011.
I know it wasn't undefeated because there's only been a couple of teams that have been undefeated in the regular season.
Yep.
So if the Lions get to 15-2, we could match it. Yeah.
We could tie the most wins ever in the NFC North in a season. That, to me, that's pretty amazing. Going from 3-13-1 to 4 years later, possibly 15-2, getting the number one seed and having home playoff games in Ford Field. It just, what a turnaround. What an absolute turnaround for 4 years.
We were talking about records in that for Jared Goff, and I guess where we got off track is you asked that question about the NFC North. So
yeah,
again, I think that Jared Goff deserves the MVP hands down, and I'm not just saying that as a Lions fan. I'm saying that as someone that's looking at it constructively to say, what have you done independently? What have you done for your team? Where does that line up in the NFL's hierarchy from best seasons by a quarterback? How many NFL records are you breaking? To me, it's hands down Jared Goff. Is it going to happen? Probably not. Probably not. Had Jared Goff won against the Bills, would it have happened? Probably not. I don't think that we're going to get the votes by the AP. I think they are too jaded. I think they are too biased. And it's never going to change until we change up who has votes. And I think that those votes should be spread around. I don't think that it should be the same people every year. I think that those votes need to be kind of on some sort of a draw system.
Yep.
I don't think that the same people should have the same vote because you're going to have the same results every year.
You know when it will change? It'll change when the Lions win the Super Bowl and then they become the darlings of the NFL.
No, that won't change. We're going to get an asterisk. We're going to get an asterisk for winning a Super Bowl somehow.
Yeah.
We always do, right?
Yeah, we'll win because of some flag or some stupid play.
Yeah.
I don't care how.
But they won't credit us for the 3 injuries we've had going to IR. But
Yeah.
so yesterday, to kind of wrap up the game, look, it was just another demonstration of resiliency, right? Efficiency. The Lions wanted to get back to efficiency this week, and that's what they did. The run game was back to efficiency. The pass game was obviously very efficient throughout the day. JMO said something in the very beginning of the season. It might even have been during training camp, where he said, look, I don't care how many catches I get. I just want to have the most yards and the most touchdowns. And when he said that, I'm like, okay, I get it. But I didn't really think about what his job was going to look like with the Lions this season. And now that we've seen it come to fruition, the guy is one play away from a touchdown every down. He is one catch away. He is one handoff away. He can really separate himself from the rest. And he is right. He does not care how many touches he gets. He can take it to the house every play. He just needs a glimmer of an opening. But beyond that, I don't ever want to hear anybody ever again say that Jared Goff can't throw the deep ball, that Jared Goff can't play in cold weather. I never want to hear it again. There's a lot of SOL Lions fans, going at it with me this season, that Jared Goff is not the right quarterback for this team. And I stuck by Jared Goff the entire time. He was always my quarterback. He was always going to do what he's doing right now. He's proven enough to me before this season. I've watched the guy play. I've watched his stats be very, very accurate from week in to week out, almost on point every week. He's had a couple of bad games. What quarterbacks, don't? But he's proven everybody wrong, and he's proven a few people right. But I think that there's more doubters than there is supporters, and I even think that there's still some Lions fans that wouldn't credit Jared Goff for having the season that he's having right now, for the Lions having the season that they're having right now. And I think that is just is blasphemy.
There's still Lions fans that think he's a bridge quarterback.
What is he's? Well, right now he's building a bridge to China at this point.
Jeez, oh Pete.
So let him be a bridge.
Yeah, there's SOL fans that are excited that maybe they'll see Hendon Hooker if we decide to rest Goff, because they want to see Hooker go off. And I'm like, man, people are just, they don't watch football or something. I don't get it.
Look, I want to see Hendon Hooker play well too, but that doesn't mean that he's going to start week 1 of 2025.
Yeah, exactly.
So there was a question that came yesterday about JMO, and are the Lions going to end up paying him? Hold on a second here.
We're going to pick up his 5th-year option.
Yeah, are the Lions going to end up paying him? And first and foremost, you got to pick up his 5th-year option, which I think has to happen by May of next year.
Yeah, May 1st.
I think is when you have to pick up the 5th-year option, and JMO's going to get, when it's picked up, he'll get 2025 balance of his salary fully guaranteed, and then he'll also get 2026 fully guaranteed, which right now is projected to be about 15.2-ish million, 15.6, somewhere in that range. Do you think that JMO makes it that far? Do you think that the Lions want to see him play out at least through next season before they invest in him heavily? Or do you think that he plays through his 5th-year option, maybe becomes a holdout after next season, and the Lions have issues with JMO? Where do you see that going?
I see us drafting another wide receiver.
Oh, I do too, but where do you see the JMO thing going?
Well, because we draft another high draft pick, I think what will happen is it will put pressure on JMO to either sign somewhere else, do the holdout thing. But I think we hold all the cards. We're going to make him play through that 5th-year option. We got him for 2 more years, no matter what. And I think that's what's going to happen.
Well, I don't know that holding out is going to help him. We've never had a Lions player hold out under the Dan Campbell regime. Yeah. And I think that he's gone through so much that I hope that he would have the memory bank full of, Dan Campbell gave me an extra shot. Brad Holmes gave me an extra shot. Not once, not twice, not three, but like 4 or 5 times they've been in my corner.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he's making peanuts here.
Nope.
He's still with the 5th year option. He's going to bring in close to what, 35 million or something like that.
Yeah.
Through 5 years.
And listen, I think the Lions would take care of him if he gets his crap together for an entire year, goes an entire year next year, knowing that he's already had his 5th year option picked up. Let's say he comes out and has a 1,100 yard, 10 touchdown season next year. Okay. Then I think they would go through and try to sign him long term. But he's got to do it for a full season before they try to give him a long-term deal. But they're going to be forced to have to make a decision on that 5th year option by May 1st, and they're going to have to pick it up.
I think that they will. And I do think that, getting into the roster roulette, which I'm going to start talking about draft stuff here pretty soon. I think that next year makes sense to pick up another wide receiver, but we will have Tim Patrick back next year, Amon-Ra, J-Mo. So there's your 3 staples.
Mm-hmm.
It's doubtful that Allen Robinson would be around. Doubtful that I think Khalif is signed for another season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. So
I think it does make sense that you finally take another wide receiver. You have to keep the numbers low because of how much you've paid Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's why I don't see the Lions investing a ton of money into J-Mo. And I'm not saying this because he's something wrong with him as a player. It's just dollars and cents. And right now you can get him for another 2 years by locking him up on his 5th year option. And then you just kind of let the cards fall where they may. Quick renote here. It was Anthony Pittman that came in and made the last hit there on Odunze for the fumble.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's the one that forced the fumble?
It was Pittman that forced the fumble. So
good old Pittman. Good for him, man. Glad to have him back.
Yeah. All right. You had another note on Lions receiver yardage. Will the Lions be able to do this? And when was the last time that we've had 2 Lions have 1,000 yards in a single season?
Yeah. So J-Mo, all he needs is 110 yards to reach 1,000 yards on the season. So that would be the first time that the Detroit Lions have had 2 wide receivers hit the 1,000-yard mark since guess who? Brett
I know who, but you can ask the chat. Yeah.
Yeah. You go. Who do you guys think? Who do you guys think it was the last time we had 2 1,000-yard receivers? It's been a minute. Let's see if anybody gets it here. Chat's going slow. There we go. Herman Moore and Brett Perriman.
There you go.
Yeah. What season was that, Will?
It was both 95 and 96.
Yeah, so it's been a minute. It's been a hot minute. Almost 30 years since we've had 2 1,000-yard receivers. And now you add on to that a 1,000-yard rusher and then another 1,000-yard all-purpose yards. We're going to have 4 players, 4 with 1,000-yard seasons this year.
Again,
that's amazing.
Last year we also had it.
Yep. It's mind-boggling how much stats, because just like we were saying a little bit ago, Goff threw the ball to 6 different receivers 5 times each. And
No, he threw the ball to 6 receivers that caught the ball 5 times each or more.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And he's spreading the ball around. People like Tim Patrick are getting the ball. Sam Laporta is getting the ball. All these other players getting the ball also. So for these 4 to eclipse 1,000 yards each is pretty darn amazing, since he is spreading the ball out so much. Most teams have Jamar Chase with a billion yards. And then like rushing, you usually have one guy that is rushing for all these super amazing yards. Now, David Montgomery isn't going to hit the 1,000 yards for rushing, but overall with his receiving and his rushing, he did hit 1,000 yards. Now, here's something for you, Will. What do you think about this? This is not a Lions player. This is a player for the Philadelphia Eagles. His name is Saquon Barkley. He finished yesterday's game with 29 carries for 150 yards and a touchdown in the Eagles' loss to the Commanders, giving him 1,836 yards on the season through 15 games. That's just amazing. He is 268 yards away from passing Eric Dickerson in 1984 for the single season mark.
Who is this?
Saquon Barkley. He's 268 yards from breaking the rushing record. And that was established in 1984 with 2,105 yards.
So he's got to average, what, 134 a game?
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck with that. That's tough to do. Big shout out to Lecky Tupo, or Tupu. I probably pronounced your last name incorrectly. I apologize. But he says that he or she will be in attendance next week for the game to support their brother Sione Vaki. So I asked the question, if you guys are related, that's awesome. My last point of the day today, and we've got some other things, but I know we're getting at the 10 o'clock hour. My last point of the day today was Vaki. So Vaki did have an opportunity to get in the game, and I wasn't surprised, right? You guys know that during the pre-draft and leading up to the draft that I had Sione Vaki getting drafted by the Detroit Lions. I thought that he was going to be a perfect fit for a safety position, but when I did my tape on him and did the video, I highlighted him as an offensive player. I never thought in a million years that he would come to the Lions as an offensive player. I thought that they would utilize him, in a multifaceted role that they are. But Sione Vaki gets in the game yesterday. He has 2 carries for 20 yards, averages 10 yards a carry. And what we were talking about last week, Friday, is that, we're not surprised by Vaki's ability. Every time that he has had the rock in his hand, he's getting big yards. And he's making great cuts. He's breaking tackles. When he's in on special teams, he's always involved. Sione Vaki is going to have an amazing career in Detroit. It's just going to be where he gets in the pecking order from year to year, where he finally gets that real opportunity to show what he's all about. And I really love the fact of seeing him get in yesterday to catch 2 balls. He caught 2 for 20. And in the run game, I don't think he got in anything in the run game, but it was 2 receptions for 20 yards yesterday in the game, which I'm not surprised by this kid at all. When you watch him play the game, he's just vicious with everything that he does. And I mean that in the nicest sense of the word. He's vicious in how he plays. He's smart. He makes the right move. He makes people miss. But he's vicious, man. I really like this kid a lot. You're talking about Jared Goff spreading the ball. So yesterday, J-Mo had 5 receptions. Amon-Ra had 6 receptions. Gibbs had 4. Sam Laporta had 4. And Vaki had 2. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 guys caught a pass. 8 guys were targeted. Goff puts the ball around. And that's him getting through his progressions. And that's one of the knocks that I hear from Lions fans is, oh my God, that player was wide open. Why didn't Goff throw it to him? You got to understand the progression. And Goff is moving quickly. I mean, you got to think about 2.9, 2.8 seconds of time to throw, which has been his average all season. You pretty much have half a second or less to find out where your receiver is and are they open. Half a second. Could you go in a half a second, go bang, 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 and make the right decision? Or bang, 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 and you're looking all over the place? That's really hard to do. So Goff being able to put the ball around like he does is going to allow these guys to have the yardage that they have. So big shout out to Jared Goff this week again, putting the ball around. Peter Van Larhoven, was Glasgow replaced this week, or was he hurt? He was hurt. So he was held out for a couple of practices last week, and for whatever reason, he was not brought up. The Lions wanted to give him some extra rest, is what I understand. Mm-hmm. Anything else you have for the day?
I'm going to be at the San Fran game this week. I'm going for 5 days, and it's going to be an amazing trip. I'm going to try to find out where everybody's meeting up on Sunday night, I think, or Monday night, or Monday afternoon for the tailgate. I will be at both, I hope, because I should get there early on Sunday. And Lucky and anybody else going to the game this weekend, let's all meet up. It'll be awesome. I'm looking forward to some sun. It was negative 21 yesterday. My friend, like I said, my friend's pipes, they froze. So I'm ready to get out of the cold and snow and go to California and enjoy some 60-degree weather for 5 days. Go see the ocean.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good trip for you, man. I enjoyed the trip last year. I'm not going this year.
After going last year, I had to go again this year. Bring my wife, and some of the seafood I had there, the crab, they had like a blue crab that they cut the crab right in half and they put it on a plate that's sizzling with all these shrimp and scallops and everything. Oh my God, it was the best seafood I ever had in my life.
Where was this at?
That was Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco.
Yeah, we went down there too, but it just nothing was open when we were there.
No,
we were there really early.
Oh,
we drove down early in the morning on, I think it was the Monday after.
Yep.
Or yeah, I think it was Sunday night game that we went to, right? Yeah, so it was a Monday after. We went down real earlier on a Monday, and like nothing was open, so we found a place to eat, but then we headed back.
Yeah, that was the day we went, but we went in the afternoon, saw the sea lions and Alcatraz and all that stuff. So looking forward to it, doing that drive down the coast. We're staying in Half Moon Bay. We rented a Airstream trailer, a brand new one.
Those are fun.
Water city and water and lights and everything. And then it's up on a cliff overlooking the ocean with a private path down to a private beach. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this trip. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've never seen the redwoods either, so we're going to do that this trip also.
That was what we wanted to do last year too, but we didn't. It was too far away.
Yeah.
There was some other places that were around, but it's interesting though with all of the earthquakes and everything that just hit out there, you know, what it's going to look like right now.
Yeah, well, they were calling for tsunamis and stuff, and the tsunamis never came. So I'm kind of happy about that.
Just going through, Tim Twentyman put out his observations at 7:00. I just now noticed it, but I think we pretty much covered all this. Okay. The only thing that he is saying is they are the fourth team in NFL history to log at least 13 wins and produce at least 6,000 total net yards and record at least 60 touchdowns and notch a point differential of 190 plus through the first 15 games of a season. The other three teams are the 2019 Ravens, the 2007 Patriots, and the 1984 Dolphins. So I'm going to ask you guys this question. How do you feel about the Lions Super Bowl right now? How do you feel about us making the Super Bowl?
I never lost confidence after that Bills game. All these fair weather fans jumped ship because we lost one game. Well, get back on the train. There's lots of room because a bunch of people jumped off. There's lots of room for you to jump back on.
I never lost, I never lost, confidence in the Lions. I mean, we were already in the playoffs, right? But now that you've seen what we can do with all of these injuries, Ali McNeil was the biggest one next to Carlton Davis. I mean, both of those are huge, huge losses. But what we just did again now, I mean, the Chicago Bears, I mean, was it really a tough test? I guess it depends. I guess it depends on how you feel about what the Bears can do. I think that Caleb Williams is a dumpster fire right now, and I think a lot of it is because of the coaching situation this year, and I think that he's just a bit too cocky, and
has went so far without throwing an interception is beyond me, because he had at least two passes that he threw that there wasn't anyone within 20 yards of the ball.
Yeah.
So how we haven't gotten lucky and got an interception yesterday is beyond me.
Well, I'm done calling interceptions for Kirby because that's 2 games now that I called one for Kirby and he hasn't gotten one. I didn't fail all season when I called interceptions for Kirby, and now he's not picking them up. So the other thing that he's talking about in here, Tim 20 says, Mr. Consistency with St. Brown. He caught all 6 passes for 70 yards and a touchdown versus the Bears. He is now the first player in franchise history to record at least 100 receptions and 1,000 receiving yards and 10 receiving touchdowns in consecutive seasons. He's the first player in franchise history to do that. So even though Herman Moore and Brett Perriman both had 1,000 yards in each of those seasons in 95 and 96, one or both of them didn't have 10 touchdowns in both of those seasons.
Yep.
So that's why it belongs to Amon-Ra St. Brown. So, man, does not matter where you are picked up in the NFL draft. It matters where you land, who your coaches are, and how hungry you are to work every single day at your craft and to get better. This is a short week. I'll be on tomorrow. Won't be on Wednesday that I know of. It's kind of a weird Christmas year for us this year, but I won't be on Wednesday that I know of. But I'll be back on Thursday and Friday, getting prepped for the game. And so you leave on what day, Eric?
Sunday. We leave Sunday.
You leave on Sunday?
Mm-hmm. Really early on Sunday. Or is it Saturday or Sunday? I don't know. I have to look. It's either Saturday or Sunday I take off.
Well, either way, I won't be on Wednesday, but I should be on the balance of the week.
Yeah.
And then I will be here for the game on Sunday or Monday night. We'll watch the game together Monday night.
With the time change and everything, I get there at like 1:00 in the afternoon.
That's not so bad.
No.
All right. Well, that's it for today. You guys have been great. Unless you have anything else, Eric, I think that this is good for today.
Yep.
So we'll see you guys back here tomorrow on the Rise and Grind Morning Show, bright and early at 8 a.m. Remember, let's get those likes up right away so we can get ads turned off. I try to do the best job I can with that. So C3 Mitts giveaway today. C3 Mitts giveaway today. How are we going to do it? Man, I just lost my chat. Somebody in the chat today is going to win C3 Mitts. It's the last day. It's any mitt Monday. So you get to choose from any mitt on the C3 Mitts website. You just got to email me at mailbag@rockedon.com if you are the winner. So let me see. What did we start with early in the show? That is a stat. That can help us give away some mitts today.
How many yards does J-Mo need to hit 1,000 yards on the season?
Okay.
How about that one?
I don't know if we pounded that enough, but
ooh, there we go. Lions fan 76, 110.
Did you already win one Lions fan 7-6? Did you already win a set of mitts? I get confused between 76 and 63 and their name. I know their name on the back end. I won't say their name out loud. But as long as he didn't win one, then he's good to go. Just email me at mailbag@rockdown.com. You're good to go. And then visit c3mitts.com and choose what mitt you want. So you got your choice of any mitt, which would be the multi-mitt, the rifle mitt, shotgun mitt, bow mitt, you name it. They're all there for you. You just tell us which one you want. We'll get it sent out immediately. Look for it at mailbag@rockdown.com to email me. You guys all have a Merry Christmas if I don't see you tomorrow in the chat. Otherwise, we'll be back bright and early at 8 a.m. You guys take care. Bye-bye.
In the huddle, man, talking football, NFL, college, man, they cover it all. Feel the tension, prediction, and the call. Fantasy life, and rise or fall. Talking football night and day. NFL and college, hey, hey. Bets and stats, they don't play. Fantasy champs on our way. Guitars, roaring hearts, beating fast. Catch a pass, score, man, have a blast. Three voices, keeping it clear. Listen up, the season's here. Guitars roaring, hearts beating fast. Catch a Pascal, man, have a blast. Three voices, keeping it clear. Listen up, the season's here. Talking football night and day, NFL and college, hey, hey. And since